Right. So, from here? Okay, thank you very much for the kind introduction. Today I would like to talk about the MOOCs, and I call the talk Scaling Up Excellent, a 4-act drama. So the first act is going to be education. The second act is called Black Swan. The third act is called Antifragile Graduates. And the last act, the fourth act, is going to be called MOOC 2.0, since we know that MOOC is so 2012. Now, I just wanted to, I know you have an extensive introduction, but I just wanted to say that my books are available for free download on my website, thinklikeanengineer.org, and they are all licensed under the Creative Commons. So feel free to download them for free. And if you want to buy the hard copy, then you have to do it on Amazon. So just to let you know. So I start with Act 1 about education. And I want to show you a picture of people. And I don't know whether you recognize any one of them, but the second from right is Andy Grove. He's the ex-Intel CEO, and he's an engineer. I have another picture, and this gentleman is the CEO of Walmart, and he is an engineer. Well, this guy is the CEO of McDonald's, and guess what? He is an engineer. Well, another engineer from GM, and another engineer from Renault Nissan. They are all Pfizer. CEO is an engineer as well. And they are all CEOs. That's your man. Okay, he's an engineer. Another engineer. As a matter of fact, this is an advertisement for my school. We say 33% of the CEOs of the top 500 companies, S&P, are engineers. And this is true. This is based on the Business Insider, and a very similar ratio of the biggest Malaysian companies, around 30 to 35% of the CEOs of the Malaysian companies are engineers as well. So engineering education seems to be doing very well. But we all know that engineering education, and I'm picking on engineering education because I'm an engineer, and I'm allowed to do that. But I think this could actually be true for the other education. Education has a dark side. Now, the likelihood that you recognize the people that I showed you earlier without telling you who they are is maybe very low. Maybe you knew some of them. But probably you would recognize a picture of this man. And he's dropout. Now, interestingly, Bill Gates also was studying engineering. And guess what? He's a dropout. Now, you recognize this gentleman as well, and he didn't finish his studies either. And they dropped out from very, very good schools. So what does that mean? We can, in engineering education, we are able actually to produce CEOs. We are able to produce people who are having the leadership quality. They are very, very good leaders in their own right. They did both the technical part and the business part. But somehow something is missing. So let's have some observation. We seem to be able to educate good graduates. As a matter of fact, we can educate very, very good graduates. But the great world-changing individuals seem to happen despite education, not because of it. So just have a thought of this. And let's ask ourselves why. Personally, I think maybe there are two reasons. The education system is industrial in nature. Is currently we have a a big classroom, we have a lot of people inside, and we need to somehow teach to a certain average so that we can get the majority of them throughout the door. And we do not have many people who can teach innovation, entrepreneurship as educators. We heard from our first speaker that maybe the issue is, can we turn educators fast enough as much as we need them? And that may be only talking about the basic kind of qualification in their field. But what about the other aspects of education? So that's what I have about the education. So let me talk to you now about the concept of a black swan. Now, for centuries, all the observations that we have made about the bird that's called swan is supportive of the statement, all swans are white. And we, every day and every year and every century and every decade, we keep on getting more and more observations that support that observation. Now, all you need is to observe one black swan to logically render the statement, all swans are white, incorrect. So you could have billions of observations that all swans are white until you have one black swan, which will render this statement false. And this is also a title of a book of a writer who is one of my favorite writers, Nassim Nicholas Taleb. He's an Arab American. And he actually popularized this in a book that's called the Black Swan, where he talks about highly unpredictable events. Events that we don't know the probability of them happening. Now, if I flip a coin, you can statistically say 50% of the time I'll get head, 50% of the time I'm going to get tail. Now, statistically, we cannot rule out that a meteor is going to hit exactly this room at this point. We cannot rule this out, but we don't know whether and when and what's the probability of it is happening. So this kind of events are, some of them are very negative. So September 11 is, in hindsight, we could actually predict it, but it was almost impossible, if not impossible, for the intelligence service to predict it. And as a matter of fact, I picked this because when Nassim Taleb wrote the book, The Black Swan, in the beginning it wasn't a bestseller, but in the book he say, so imagine if you are in a high-rise building, and imagine if an airplane hits you. What are the odds of that happening? So after September 11, people say, how did you predict this? And he said, people, that's the point. You cannot predict a black swan. So September 11 is a negative black swan. Financial crises, when they happen, are black swans. But Google is a positive black swan. Now, we all know that there are so many tech startups that don't really pick up. But it just so happened, for whatever reason, that Google made it, that Facebook made it, and that Twitter has made it. But there are many other startups with very smart people who tried very hard. They even tried to copy the formula of these providers, and they did not work out. So having the notion of the black swan, I would like to introduce to you the notion of a fragile system. Now, if you go to the dictionary, fragile refers to something that breaks when exposed to stress. So if you have a glass cup and you drop it, or you have an egg and you drop it, it's going to break. And as a matter of fact, I have a demonstration to do. I have eggs with me. So if you don't believe me, what do you think will happen to these eggs if I drop them? Yes? They'll break. Is it true? I don't know. You have to guess. Okay, so let's try. Oops, I messed up. So we have actually shown that eggs are fragile. Now, you want to take them? Yes, sure. You're afraid that I'll mess up a bit more, right? Okay. Just my wife does that all the time, so yeah. But what's the opposite of fragile? So we know that fragile is something that breaks when it's stressed. Robust. Someone says robust. So whenever you ask what's the opposite of fragile, people will say strong, robust, and things along these lines. So the interesting thing is, Nassim Nicholas Taleb disagrees. He says, if a fragile thing or fragile object or fragile system is a system that breaks when it's stressed, then an antifragile system is a system that should get stronger when it's stressed. So if you have at this end hot, the opposite of hot is not warm, it's cold. Now he looked in all the languages on earth and he could not find a word for a system that when stressed, when put under pressure, it becomes stronger. That's why he coined the word anti-fragile. So he created this word. So you have a continuum. So at one end you have the fragile, and in the middle you have the robust, and at the other end you have the anti-fragile. Things that get better, get stronger when they are stressed. His book, Antifragile, is another bestseller. I highly recommend it for you to read. So complex system can be antifragile. So for example, biological system, culture, ideas, information can be antifragile. If you try to suppress a culture, often the culture gets stronger. If you want to hide information, and maybe this is an argument for open education, open resources. If you want to hide information, people will want to find out more. If you say, okay, so that's a secret, don't tell anyone, then this is actually a passport for the information to travel even further. If you attack an idea, people become very interested in knowing about it. If you ban a book, people will want to read it. So this is a title of a novel. Have you heard of it? By show of hands, have you heard of it? You've heard of it. Few of us. Okay. So if you've heard of it, you would know who the writer is. Who knows who the writer is by show of hands? Oh, no. I just show of hands. All right, it's okay. Okay, so he wrote another book. It's called The Satanic Verses. Do you know the writer now? Yeah, show me your hands if you know the writer. Now, did you read the book? I doubt that you read the book, but why did you know about Salman Rushdie? Is the fatwa, is the $1 million on his head, is the bounty. And that made him very, very famous. Now, I have written 2 books. Can you please ban them? Please, can someone put a bounty on my head? Because they'll become bestsellers. So you know the writer now. So this is an example of a system that is anti-fragile. We have been trying to eradicate bacteria for a very long time, for example. And every time we use a stronger antibiotic, although that specific population of the bacteria is eradicated, but the bacteria population in general becomes stronger. So there are indeed systems, when attacked, when stressed, they become stronger. So the airline industry, whether you agree or not, is actually an anti-fragile industry. Unfortunately, air crash happened, and I think this country was really in a way, quite stressed recently by two major incidents. But if you think about it, even in the darkest moment, now people don't fly over Ukraine. Not only that, the entire airline industry in the world, now they are not flying over the hot zones, and that includes places like Iraq and even Iran and Afghanistan. So even with the darkest moment, the industry as a whole becomes stronger. So every air crash makes the industry stronger in the long run. Post-traumatic growth is a psychological term, refers to the growth that happens and the strength that happens into us as individuals, as people, after a major event, negative event, like the death of a loved one and things like that. So even in such an event, there is actually some growth that has been documented. And just as I told you, if you tell someone a secret, actually if it's not a secret, just say it's a secret and it's going to move faster. So what makes a system fragile? If a bank fails and the government bails the bank and create a bigger bank, the new bank is going to be even bigger, and it's too big to fail, and even more fragile. Any shock on the bank could actually bring down the entire industry. Infection can improve our immune system, and at the same time, if we take antibiotic every time we have a little bit of fever, we will make our bodies fragile. As a matter of fact, there is now growing body of evidence that over cleanliness is not very good. It creates all sorts of fragility in the body, and then when there is a real attack on the body from bacteria, the body is unable to cope with that. So to show this sort of mathematically or graphically, the y-axis, the vertical axis, up you have gain and down you have loss. Over time, you will win at times, you will lose at times, but there is a higher possibility for a system to experience a negative black swan. If a system exhibits this kind of behavior, the system is called antifragile. So you are in the financial system market, for example, you lose at times, you gain at times, but when there is a loss, there is a likelihood that it wipes everything. That's a very fragile system. Now, if there is, the robust system is a system where you will win at times, you lose at times, you'll win at times, you lose at times, and this carries on for a very long time. So this we could say robust. You cannot, or it doesn't exhibit major changes. Now, this is the interesting system, which is the antifragile system, where you may lose at a number of times, you may win once, but if you win, then you are going to win really, really big. So we have the choice as an education system or educationalists or education institutions to be fragile, robust, or anti-fragile. Now, remember that the wind that extinguishes a candle strengthens the fire. So this is just a thought for us. I don't necessarily have all the answer to how to make the education system anti-fragile, but I'm going to link this back to the notion of the MOOC that I would like to talk about. So how do we make our graduates anti-fragile? How do we make our graduates thrive on the stress that we know the life is going to throw at them? How do we make our education system anti-fragile with all the grand challenges that we are facing? We are facing issues with energy, with health, with water, with education, with politics, with peace, with everything. I believe that a fragile system or a choice for being fragile or even for being robust is not really a choice. We have to somehow embrace the whatever have the potential of making us antifragile. Hence, my Act 3, which I would like to talk about, antifragile graduates. Now, I use Robin Williams because he's one of my favorite actors. And I was personally, just like the rest of the world, devastated by what has happened to him. Now, if someone is as successful as I see it, as famous, I presume he was rich, I presume he's a person that everyone wants to be around, reached a stage that he had to take his own life, I think there is something wrong. Now, I'm not in a position to judge him, and I'm not here to do this, but I'm just using this to illustrate a point about when we are preparing our graduates. Are we preparing them for the jobs? Are we making them only great engineers and brilliant doctors? Or are we also preparing them in a way to be anti-fragile or even at least robust in the face of the challenges and the difficulties that we know for sure that life is going to throw at them? So, does our education system encourage failure? I don't think so. No matter what we say, generally speaking, our education system is based on the students going to the exam and getting the right answer, generally speaking. So while we all know that people who have succeeded, they needed to take their chances and they needed actually to fail. And we all keep on telling our students that Edison said that he did not really fail, but he found the 10,000 ways that did not work. But do we accept when at the end of the semester our students turn maybe 4 or 5 attempts of failure and he say, well, Professor, I failed 5 times and I hope that I could finish the other 10,000 times before I graduate, and I would like you to certify me as a brilliant engineer. I actually doubt that we avail them with that opportunity. Now, do we provide our students with a systematic way of developing the emotional resilience that is necessary? Are we providing our students with the entrepreneurial thinking? You know, entrepreneurship is not really about you going out on your own and starting your own business. A mother can be an entrepreneur if she is able to bring a healthy family and send her children to schools while maybe money is not enough, resources are not enough, time is not enough. So entrepreneurial thinking, interestingly, is now even being asked by the employers. They would like to employ people who think in an entrepreneurial manner. Do we have people who have multiple intelligences? So these are the things that not only myself, but I think a number of our speakers, not to mention the literature, is mentioning that they are important, but I really feel and see that the education system is rather slow in adopting them. So we decided at my school to maybe take the first steps. So starting last semester, every semester there is a module. We call it the design module because we are a project-based learning school, and the student will be assessed out of 90 marks for that module, and the 10 marks are going to be for the assessment of their failures. So they need to fill a form that's called return on failure. It's a 2-page analysis. It's not you go to the workshop and get yourself injured and you say, I have failed. So there was actually a reason why we started this. We noticed that our best students, they engineer their journey so that they don't take any risk, because their CGPA has to remain at 3.9 or 4. And if I take this project and if it fails, what is going to happen to my CGPA? So I just wanted, and this is just the beginning, I just wanted to make sure that no one can get this 4.0 unless they go and fail very, very well. So some of these students are motivated by maybe the assessment, So we are building this in so that they fill the form that's called return on failure. We also introduced there is an entrepreneurship module, and that is a module that's offered as a MOOC, and maybe if I have time, I'll talk a little bit about it. So every student in my school will have to take an entrepreneurship module, and they have to raise real money in order for them to progress and get the higher mark. And also, we run another MOOC about emotional intelligence, and every student in the school has to take this MOOC. So I will see my time, and maybe I speak in more details about that. So now let me talk about MOOC 2.0. So we know by now, actually, I noticed that as I listened to the first two speakers, that some of the information that I wanted to share has been covered, so that's great. I'll go very quickly through that. Enabling the students to access the best professors, so you could actually scale up excellence in their way. But also we could brand, and I think this is what our speakers alluded to. We could brand Malaysia as an educational hub. Now, let me just ask a question, or maybe I make a statement, then I ask a question. You know, Taylor's is a private university, and depending on who you are, we say we are the best private university in the country. The others say you are the most expensive private university in the country. We are priced just below the prices of the foreign universities. So the only universities that are more expensive than us would be Nottingham and Monash. And they offer, so if you come to engineering, it will cost you, and do it on campus, it will cost you just below what will cost you at Monash or Nottingham in Malaysia. Now, most of the students come study in Malaysia because they cannot afford to study overseas. As a matter of fact, I know of people who own Malaysian universities who send their kids to study overseas. Okay, I'll talk from a private institution point of view. We are not really seen as a leading provider of education, even though we actually have a very high quality, well-funded institute, private and public. But even our own people, if they had the money or the scholarship, they will send their kids overseas. So this is actually something that, you know, we need to do something about it. Not to say not to send people overseas, but for us not to be the first choice is something that I personally feel strongly about. Just to let you know, I'm not really a Malaysian, but my wife is, and I have 3 Malaysian kids. So I have stakes in this. Seriously, I need to do something about that. Because, you know, very soon they are going to, you know, be going to the university, and I want to know how I'm going to fund that. Now, for Malaysia to be able to attract more international students, putting ourselves out there as quality providers, I think through the MOOCs is a very powerful thing, and also it's less risky for our international students. They could try a USM course, Taylor's course, another university's course, and then they decide for themselves. You know, I speak to academics from Australia and the UK, and I tell them, why don't you send your students to do an exchange with us? They told me, people in Australia and the UK think that we don't speak English in Malaysia. I mean, this is a reality. I mean, we could just say, come on, you know, who knows this? People are telling me that there are still people who think this is like you come to Kuala Lumpur and it's going to be a jungle. And so that's what they tell me. I don't know whether they are telling me the truth or not. I find it strange, but these are very respectable people. So the exchange is, if you are Australian, top destination is US. Second top is UK. They say they don't even go to Germany because, so I thought that people go for exchange so that really they exchange ideas and experience culture, but apparently it's not. So at least if we can prove to them that we can speak English, maybe more of them will be coming. Now, MOOCs is an anti-fragile opportunity for Malaysia. And let me just say a few words about this. I had lunch yesterday with Professor Pete Hawley. He is the head of chemical engineering of the University of Queensland. And University of Queensland is top 50 in the world when you look at the ranking. And we were talking about MOOCs, and he was telling me, yes, they are excited and they are doing MOOCs. So I said, why are you doing the MOOC? Oh, you know, we are on edX now. I say, yeah, great, wonderful, but why are you doing it? Well, you know, everyone else is doing it. You don't want to be left behind, and it seems to be, okay. So I told him, and I explained to him the notion of antifragility, and I say, MOOC is a fragile opportunity for the University of Queensland, a top 50 university in the world. Because if they do a great job, people will say, you are UQ, that's expected. Now, if they do a bad job, say, huh? We thought you guys teach well, but this guy, you know, the MOOC is like really lousy. So if you don't go, people say, oh, UQ, you don't join the MOOC thing? I mean, you feel left behind. So actually, you are getting into an area that is very difficult to win. Now, if I ask Dr. Copperman, have you heard of Taylor's University before? Honestly speaking, you haven't. Now, if I put a lousy MOOC out there, am I losing any reputation? People will just say, ah, these people just trying. But imagine if we put a number of high-quality MOOCs online. The potential for people to say, wow, is really there. And that's why, for me, for Malaysia to go into the MOOCs is a no-brainer. We really, I know among ourselves, we really compete who's the best university within the country. But outside there, apart from the people who have known us, we're actually not that well known. Taylor's University is a member of an initiative that's called CDIO, started by MIT. Stands for Conceive, Design, Implement, Operate. I went to MIT and I was talking to the founder, and he told me, Mushtak, I think CDIO really served Taylor's very well. I say, why do you say this? He said, if now someone asks me, which one is the best university in Malaysia? I would say Taylor's. For the simple reason, it's the only university I've ever heard of. Now, this is a reality. This is a reality. But just imagine, with the technology, we could actually change this. Let me give you a scenario. If we, tomorrow, run a MOOC that has people decided to jump at the same time in all the time zones. I mean, even this very simple thing of trying to check what will happen if we all jump at the same time on Earth, will it wobble or not? And let's say this is an experiment. I think that is noteworthy, and maybe Al Jazeera, CNN, and is going to pick it up. Now, I'm not saying that we go that route, but you will never know when you put things out there, and if they are well thought through, there is a potential of us getting into something that's entirely new, a new realm, and maybe create our reputation on even a different sort of ranking system. So, as I said, I think for us, from a Malaysian perspective, I don't think, unless we really do really bad job, and if we are a really high-ranked university, then it could be a negative black swan. But for us, Taylor's University is not even in the ranking. And actually, some people thought it's an American university. People say, Taylor's University? Malaysia? You know, so actually, we are in that realm. We are not known. But now there are people who are saying, I'm studying at Taylor's University. I have done this at Taylor's University, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So we have deployed the first MOOC in Malaysia, and that was in March 2013. Actually, that was the same month that University of Hong Kong deploy what they call the first MOOC in Asia. So I could have just become antifragile and I say, I actually deployed the first MOOC in Asia. Now, if you accept it, good. If you sue me, I'll become famous. You know, whatever happens, you think about it. We have to actually behave like that. So maybe I should change this. So, sorry, this is a mistake here. This is the first MOOC in Asia. And who doesn't like it, please sue me. And I have books, please ban them. And please don't listen to me, whoever online, because I'm going to maybe poison your thoughts. So we have more than 4,000 students from 130 different countries. So Success, which is the emotional intelligence MOOC, has more than 2,000 students, and the other one, which is called Global Entrepreneurship, has another 2,000 students. Global entrepreneurship is a reincarnation of the first MOOC, which was entrepreneurship. And Wayne, I totally agree with you. I see the value in putting my students on campus to work with the online students. So when I first run it, I came to the students and I say, I'll put you in teams, and every team has to come up with a business plan, and every team has to recruit 1 student from the online community. No group can be approved without you picking someone from the online community. They were very apprehensive in the beginning, but eventually they had no choice, and they did it, and they enjoyed it. Because of this, now there are also the other aspects that was really spiced up. For example, an American student was waiting for my students for the Skype call, and they didn't come because they calculated the time difference wrongly. And the online students was complaining to me about the attitude and ethics of the Malaysian students. And these students had to explain to this guy, who had to remain, awake at 3 or 4 a.m. their time, that, they calculated the time wrongly, and they claimed that he was the one who got the time wrong. But, I mean, being an American, everything has to adjust to their system. So I told them, it's okay, let's change the timeline. And that learning was really, really valuable. So what I did when I offered global entrepreneurship, which just concluded, I said every Taylor student will have to recruit an entire team from the online community. They complained, they wrote letters, but I stayed my course, and eventually I forced them to go and recruit the entire team from the online community. And they were telling me things like, but these people could just drop out. I say, we are learning an entrepreneurial endeavor. And guess what? If you start a company, your workers may leave you. So how do you keep these people motivated? How do you keep them engaged? Now, every one of my students formed a team. Everyone. And every one of them put a crowdfunding campaign online. So that was the requirement. You need every one of them to get, for the on-campus students to pass the module, they need to put a crowdfunding campaign. You know what's crowdfunding? Okay, crowdfunding. Raise your hand if you have heard of crowdfunding. Okay, let me talk about crowdfunding. You are not going for lunch, okay? Yeah, so let's say I want to make this, and let's say it costs 10 ringgit each. And let's say to order this in China, I need to order a minimum order of 1,000. So how much money do I need? 10,000 to just make the first batch. So there are 2 ways to do it. I have my own money, go and make it, and then buy it, and then go to you and say, please buy, please buy. And most likely you won't buy. So that'd be one way. The other way is I go to an investor and I say, give me the money, and then you have 70% of my company, and hopefully we can sell this. The other way to do it is I make a prototype and I put it online, and I say, this is a great product. You can control your computer with it, you can use the laser, and each one will cost 11 ringgit. Now, if you pledge to buy one, and you pledge, you don't just say, yes, I think about it, you give your credit card details. The moment I reach an 11,000 ringgit, the crowdfunding website will charge your credit card and put the money in my pocket, and hopefully I will deliver the product to you. This is exactly what crowdfunding is. Now, when I explain this to my students, they say, no way, no one is going to pay for something that doesn't exist. So I show them that Kickstarter has raised, and a few others, $1 billion already. They say, oh, what is this? Kickstarter works in UK and US. Oh, but Malaysians are different. Why are they different? We don't trust each other. That's what they told me. I don't know because I'm not Malaysian, I'm so sorry. So that's what they told me. Anyway, I told them, look, you put the campaign online, and I will assess you based on the quality of your campaign. If you raise 10,000 ringgit, then you are exempted from the final exam. You think they will like it? They didn't. Yeah, they're Malaysians, right? So they're different. Yeah. Anyway, eventually, collectively, with a campaign that's run for 5 weeks, we raised 17,000 ringgit. And the students really were shocked. I have that. Please go. I don't use Coursera, I don't use edX, because they don't even accept me in. So I put my MOOCs on a platform that allows me to own all the data, write to all the students, do whatever I want to do. It's called openlearning.com. So if you go to openlearning.com, you please just click on Global Entrepreneurship, and you could register and see what's happening. And if you watch the last lecture, is there where the students were saying, but sir, you know my campaign was successful. I say, so what did you expect? You know, there's a guy in New South Wales who pledged. Yeah, that's the whole idea. No, but you know, I got like more than 100%. Yeah, aren't you happy? Now I have to deliver. Yes, you have to deliver. Definitely, that's the whole idea. So can you imagine, we actually have students who don't necessarily believe in themselves. And I think putting them in that community whereby they could actually see and support each other is extremely important. So this is how the website looks like. So you have entrepreneurship, and then success, and global entrepreneurship. These three are mine. The rest are, you know, my colleagues who are trying to imitate me, but I don't think they will succeed. Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm actually leading this. I'm trying to encourage them and get more of them to be hopefully even better than what I am doing. So I've talked about global entrepreneurship, and let me talk about the tools that I believe that we can do in a MOOC, and I'm using the term MOOC very loosely. It means these courses that are out online that people could join and leave as and when they want. You know, one of the most powerful tools that I created is called brain rewiring. Now, we all know that our brain is wired to detect the negative. Now, if there is, for example, an explosion, and if it's loud enough, I think you are going to run away from the hole. You'll forget all about me. Most likely you forget about your computer, and you just run away. Because we are wired to scan the environment for danger. And that was very, very useful for the environment in which our ancestors lived. So that's why if you ask someone, what is going right in your life? They will need to really think. If you ask them, what is the bad thing that's happening in your life? They don't need to think. They say, I'll tell you. GST is coming. I don't have enough money. Salary is, I don't know, no one is appreciating me. My wife is this, my kids are that. And actually it's very easy for us to detect the negative. So in brain rewiring, every student who takes my MOOCs, and that includes entrepreneurship and success, they need to, each and every day, they need to go to the platform and report 5 things that they are grateful for. Now, in the beginning, this is very difficult and very awkward thing that they do. They say, what do you mean? You know, I have nothing to be grateful for. Until someone say, oh, I'm grateful that we had water today. You know, seriously, we had water rationing, and people are saying, I'm grateful I had a hot shower. Because you won't appreciate the hot shower that you took in the morning until you shower from the pail for a week or 2. Then you don't have water to wash the clothes, and then you realize, wow, that was good. I'm grateful that we had the haze, right? So students, when the sky is blue, you cannot see the amount of gratitude they have shown to that. And that was very important to see a student from Africa being grateful that electricity was there for 1 hour so that he could watch the course and things like that. It puts things into perspective. Now, again, I don't know whether you can read this or not. Can you read this? You can't. You want to go for lunch, apparently. So actually, this is one of my students. She's from Portugal, and she applied the techniques while she's dealing with her daughter. And in the emotional intelligence, you know, we use the Daniel Goleman model, so it has 4 components, and the components are, you need to start by self-awareness, and then you do self-management, then you have social awareness, and eventually relationship management. But without the self-awareness and self-management, forget about being socially aware and able to manage relationships well. So she uses the techniques that we shared, and she said that it really worked. It really worked for her. She's now having a better relationship with her daughter. Not only that, her daughter accepts to eat vegetables, and she said that was like the first time she does that. So she reported this. Now, in a MOOC, this is very powerful. So when she reported this to me, I say, I created a page that's called Share and Inspire. So everyone who has something good that has happened to him or her because of the teaching, to put it there. And the reason is, there are a lot of people who are very skeptical. And when they see people say, oh, I tried it, it worked, I tried it, it worked, more people will say, so let me try it, it may work. Now this is my favorite. Now when this picture came, and this guy uploaded it on the MOOC, I was shocked. So this gentleman, he's from Africa, this is his engagement. And he told me, or told everybody rather, that he had an issue with himself. He thought he does not look good, and he thought ladies don't like him. And it's only through the exercises of this course that he was able to collect enough courage to speak to the lady to the right and ask for her hand. And she said that she was very interested in him as well. And I swear, you can go and find this is all online. He thanked 2 people for this. Jesus and Mushtak. That's what he said. That's what he said. So for this to happen, I think this is really amazing, isn't it? So, and what he said, and I'm quoting him, he said, I went to her and I told her, I'm studying at Taylor's University, and my professors say all emotions are okay. Hence, I want to tell you this. So, you could actually go and read that entire post on your own. So, sometimes, you know, when my students read this, you know what they say? Oh, so actually our lectures are okay. I swear, there is a feeling among our students that no matter what we do, now again, students who are in the public sector, they don't pay fees. My students pay very high fees. They think, no matter what I do, if they go to the United States, it'll be better. So I go and tell them, why do you think it's better? I don't know, but they speak better English. I say, do you know that people like me also can teach there, and maybe some they don't even teach? I don't know. You know, people will think if it's an American or a British piece of paper that says mechanical engineer, they will give me a better job. And actually, we've proven all these things wrong. So last year, a group of ours, you know, our students could still do 2 years with us and transfer to a number of universities. So our students who did 2 years with Taylor's went to Birmingham, did another 2 years, came back. Both students applied for the same job at Accenture, and the guy who stayed with us got the job. I think the employers really don't care much about the piece of paper. I mean, at the end of the day, it's an engineering degree. It's accredited by the Washington Accord. What else do you want? So in the interview, an Accenture interview apparently is like a 1-week-long interview, and my guy was really doing very, very well. So I'm very proud of that. Now, this is again, this is actually one of my students on campus, and she was saying things like, her parents thought she's very moody, she is never grateful, she's never in control of her emotions, and because of the course, she was able to calm herself, and even her parents have seen the value and have seen the difference. This is actually how brain rewiring looks like. So this lady is, she's an American, but she's from Palestinian origins. So she say, today, 16th of April, this is April thing, she's grateful for the positive energy and open learning in this MOOC, the vernal and colorful scenes at her eyes. Today is Wednesday. I just completed the third lecture. My husband and I had an issue at home today, and I implemented the opportunity rule instead of the P word, and he liked my idea. Now, this is something else that I introduce in all my courses. You cannot use the P word. And the P word is P-R-O-B-L-E-M. Okay, so if you mention the P word, you have to pay 1 ringgit. That includes me, so if someone reports me to my students, I have to pay. So you have to say, for example, I had a car accident, what an opportunity. Or I broke my leg, what an opportunity. But actually it tricks the brain. It tricks the brain, and then the opportunity arises. And you realize that, well, it's an opportunity to stay at home and read books and do all sorts of things that you wanted to do, but your wife was asking you to do this and that, and you were able to do it. So actually it tricks the brain, and this is true because, you know, it's very easy to trick the brain. You know, when you watch a horror movie, you feel like your brain cannot tell the difference. That's why your blood pressure goes up, your heartbeat goes up, but you know, you could just turn off the thing, but you know, your brain doesn't know that. It's an old machine. So you could actually trick it. You could trick it. And so we filled the MOOC with tools like this that people enjoy and do it on a daily basis, and then they see things like that. So this is a student who is, I think she's saying, what do you mean? She talks about positive thinking, and she say, what if I keep on saying everything is okay, everything is good, and this may not be a really great thing. She said, at first Phoebe, one of the leading actors, is very interested in him, and they went out. However, keeping such positive attitude at the time, she's talking about friends, could be tiring, and finally Phoebe could not bear it anymore and broke up with him. So she said this guy was always positive, no matter what has happened, then his girlfriend left him. So, you know, I acknowledge that if the fact is, people are giving me the time, so I am going to move faster. So this guy, see, today I was experiencing a PR****M. I caught myself calling it a challenge. I was very annoyed, but my mindset quickly changed. I then saw this experience as an opportunity for growth, all this, and just finished the first lecture. Thank you, me. Okay, so I have 2 more slides. So skeptic note, what is the business model? To me, the business model is I'll use the entire world to educate my students on campus. My students are paying a very high fee, and I'm going to use everyone. Those people who are out there, they're all, 70% of them have degrees. Let them come. I want them to help my students so that they become even better graduates. MOOCs are very expensive. Wrong. This actually was for free. The only thing that the university has to commit is 2 people to videograph my lecture, and that's it. That's it. MOOCs have very low completion rate. So what? I mean, you start with a very high number anyway. I have a 15% completion rate, but my students, to get the certificate, they have to achieve 100%. The online students, to get the certificate, if they missed one activity, they won't get the certificate. Now on edX, you need 40% to get the. So I just make my certificate even more valuable. MOOCs are a passing fad. I disagree, but they are evolving, as everything else in life. My final remarks are, education systems are in the fragile, robust domain. We want to move them into the antifragile domain. And the more antifragile component that we introduce, so the MOOC is antifragile, the open education resources are anti-fragile, and hopefully the rest of the university does nothing, then we will be more anti-fragile. MOOCs can be addictive. So they're addictive to me, and I spend a lot of time, receiving these things from my students and responding to them. You can always scale up excellence, but excellence has to exist in the beginning. And with this, I would like to invite you to dream big, be different, and have fun. Thank you very much. Have a great lunch.
Thank you, Professor Mushtak, for his energetic speech.